do not doubt for 2 seconds that a government of Canada that just slaughtered 400 innocent ostriches in the most brutal way possible. I don't suggest that you watch the footage, but if you have the stomach for it and you want to get a real sense of how evil, straight up evil these people are, watch them get herded up, trucks making loud noises, driving them into a corner where they were all shot from overhead. And then at the end of it, there's just tarps all over the place, 400 ostriches on the ground. Disgusting, disturbing. Any government that would sign off on this has totally lost their moral authority and are straight up evil. It's straight up evil. But if you doubt for a second that the government of Canada would not do that to their political opponents, I have a bridge to sell you. Read the Gulag Archipelago. These communists, which is what they are, that we now have in Canada, lowering mandatory minimum sentences for CP, banning poppies in courtrooms, woke ideology run amok where they think if you don't totally fall in line where a man can become a woman can become a man worldview, you should be eliminated. If you don't think that's coming to Canada's future, but rather than with ostriches, with humans, for people who think, for people who don't fall in line with the government, I have a bridge to sell you. The way our Attorney General, the way Sean Fraser gloats, is so happy about this so-called ostrich culling. Meanwhile, makes no comment about the fact that CP, the most disgusting crime you could commit, mandatory minimum 1-year sentences have been eliminated. No comment on that. The amount of evil that currently exists in the Canadian government, thank you. The amount of evil that currently exists in the Canadian government reminds me of old communist regimes that wound up with hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people dead. And like I said, I think of the analogy of, they always say it's a very dangerous sign if a young child is willing to damage or hurt animals, that there's a high likelihood that they're a psychopath and that in the future they'll wind up hurting humans. I think that the analogy is absolutely perfect to what's gone on in Canada. What's gone on in Canada with these 400 ostriches so callously killed. And when you read more deeply into the story, it becomes more and more disturbing. At Universal Ostrich Farms, they were willing to test the birds for avian flu themselves to see if they actually did. The 2 who did have avian flu had already died off. And when you read scientists, many of them say these birds were in all likelihood totally fine. Universal Ostrich Farms said that they were willing to test them at their own expense, come back to the government with the results. Not only did the government of Canada say, no, we will not allow you to test these animals, they said, we are going to fine you $235,000 per ostrich that you test. I kid you not. They said, not only can you not test them, we are going to fine you $235,000 per animal they test. How sick is that? And to see the families at Universal Ostrich Farms, these ostriches are like family to them. They love these animals. To see them broken down, crying, and then to see RCMP officers laughing and waving at them. It's really beyond comprehension. And what's happened this past week in the Supreme Court of Canada, I don't think there's been a more evil week or a better illustration of the absolute slime that makes up our Supreme Court. The same week as mandatory minimum 1-year prison sentences for CP, for the worst crime in the world, affecting the most vulnerable population possible, 2 and 3-year-olds, ruining their lives, the sick bastards. The Supreme Court of Canada, the 5 nominees of Trudeau, voted to knock down mandatory minimum 1-year prison sentences. The evil Supreme Court justices that Trudeau appointed knocked those down. And the exact same week as they knocked down minimum sentences for friggin' CP is the same week as they say, no, we are not going to hear on the ostriches, go ahead with the culling. Like I said, the history books, the woke will only tell you about the regime in Germany. But the regime in Russia, the regime in the USSR killed a hell of a lot more people than the Germans did. And I'm telling you right now, if you don't see the parallels, you don't know what's going on. No.
Just turn around.
No, I'm filming myself. I'm filming myself, man. I'm filming myself.
It's just there. You just waved at me with the phone.
No, I'm not. I'm not waving at anybody. I'm shooting myself. And this is exactly, and you see, this is exactly what I'm saying of what we have in Canada. These are our streets now. It's so crazy. Where I live a couple blocks away from the Parliament building. And there's crack smoking. So sorry to get off track, but that's just a perfect example of what the streets are like in communist countries. You think Mark Carney gives a crap that a couple of blocks away from where the Parliament is, there's open crack smoking every day here. The amount of just open drug use is truly shocking. The communists don't care because it's well known. Like I was saying, I think Canada may actually be more extreme far left wing than what we saw in the USSR. And the writers of that day always said the biggest sign of communism is a society where criminals roam free and political opposition are punished. And that's what we see in Canada. I've never seen this much open crack smoking on the street, open violence. What the heck? Look at this crap. Like, seriously, this is just open crack smoking ever. A guy just ran at me. See, this is what this Canada has. If this video doesn't show you, man, Canada has become insanity. Look at this everywhere. It's open crack smoking everywhere, and they never punish it. They're just allowed to be out, heavy drug users, disturbing our society. But in the name of empathy, you need to let these people disturb the rest of society. You saw just what happened. One guy sprinting at me, definitely a meth head. And I can guarantee you that the Liberal Party of Canada, that is nonstop virtue signaling about how important it is to have safe supply, I can guarantee you they don't live in these neighborhoods. They don't live in neighborhoods that are affected by this whatsoever. Mark Carney, are you kidding me? Anita Dawn, Sean Fraser. It's so disturbing what the country's turning into. This video is about ostrich farms and how evil our Supreme Court has gotten. But I mean, you just see, I'm shooting this video and I have two crackheads run up to me. I'm a couple blocks away from the Parliament building. I'm literally a couple of blocks away from the Parliament building. And this is a daily basis. Open crack smoking everywhere, violence. And I know it perfectly illustrates what communist leadership does, because even the transformation of Canada since Justin Trudeau was elected 11 years ago is shocking. It never used to be like this. Now it's just getting worse and worse and worse every year. Crime rates going up, abuse going up, drug use going up, and that's what you get when you get communists. And like I said, the next step with Bill C8, Bill C9 is they are going to come after their political opposition, and they're not going to lock criminals up. But if you're a common sense conservative, if you point out how evil this government has become, they're going to come after you. They're going to come after you. I already got banned on TikTok with over 30,000 followers, which is good because it proves you're doing something right when they want to shut you down. But it's so pathetic. They know they can't win their arguments. So they say, okay, we can't win the argument. You're not allowed to speak. It's time to wake up, Canada, to the evil, to the absolute evil that's going on in this country, which is why I started the Fight for Canada party. I'm almost at the 250 registrants needed in order to register the party, because we need somebody who's actually going to go out and not give milquetoast criticisms, but point out how evil our government has become, which I am more than happy to do because it's true. So please register. The registration button is directly below. Hit like, share, subscribe, join, become a member, donate, grab some gear. Really appreciate everybody who supported, because we need to fight these commies, because they're not going to stop. So Canadian patriots need to stand up.